Hey guys, here's Louis. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how I happen to restore these old Firebird steering wheels. I did the same steps that I'm about to show you guys about 10 years ago to my 67 Firebird when I was able to find the deluxe steering wheel for 67. That's what she has on. The repair I did, it's been 10 years old and never failed. So far, so good. So I'm just going to share with you guys the knowledge that I have in my head, what I have used and what have worked for me. I am going to be doing this to a deluxe wheel for my 1968 Firebird. Okay, which I started, I'm not gonna lie, I started this thing about maybe 5-6 months ago, and I stopped. The reason of stopping is because I wanted the car to be at this stage already. So I feel I moved pretty far into the car. Okay, so on my downtime, I like to do something else. Like I always say, to keep you guys motivated and keep you moving on your project, don't keep working so much constantly on the really hard stuff, because you'll burn yourself out. So when you need a little downtime, and I said this before on a video, go to your wiring harness, start working on that. If you need a little break, it's a little less stress on the body, physically, mentally, and stuff like that. So go to your wiring, or you could go to something mechanical on your car. And to me, this is like a relaxing state when it comes to restoring your car. It's kind of, to me, it's just not that stressful. All right, I love metalwork. But metalwork could be really physical to the body. Okay, it get you tired physically and mentally. Okay, but this is for me a downtime. So with that being said, let's move forward on restoring these cars. So you want to keep moving forward on restoring your project. Like I said, I started this about 6 to 5 months ago. Okay, I'm not done yet, but if you guys check out the photos, how this steering wheel was, believe me, she is moving forward to becoming a great steering wheel. This happened to be an original 1968 only deluxe steering wheel. And the feature I love about this steering wheel for this year, of course, is this beautiful horn button. And it's really just a cover that you have, is a center cover for the steering wheel, because your horns are really here. Your horn buttons 1, 2, and 3 on these 3 spokes. But I think this was a beautiful design that Pontiac had at the time. And to be a factory steering wheel with this kind of design, I just think it's the most prettiest and sexy steering wheel out there. And I'm happy to say I own 2 original 68 deluxe steering wheels, and I've been collecting these throughout my years with these cars. I was happy to acquire 2 with this steering wheel that a gentleman sold to me, which is a great person. He helped me out with this steering wheel in the very beginning of my 68 Firebird project. And I happened to acquire this one from another guy that I share a lot of my information with, and he's like another Pontiac buddy of mine. He needs something from me, I need something from him, and that's how I acquired that one. And like I said, look, I collected these horns, these center covers, and now I have them. Okay, so as this plastic ages, That's what it is, like a really hard plastic. As it ages, it shrinks. And when it shrinks, I let go and it starts to crack. As you guys can see, some cracks here, and it was all cracked up in the center, okay? Actually fell right off the steering wheel. I had the steering wheel in a box, and some of the plastic crumbled from the steering wheel on the side of the box. But I'm going to show you guys the tools I use for these steering wheels. So we have here, of course, gloves, a heat gun, a dead blow hammer, all right, an angle grinder, air grinder with a burr bit here, all right. This one is actually the 1/8 thick shaft. They also makes the 3/8 thick shaft. And I picked up this kit of them, which has been a big help in my projects. All right, bearings. These are bearings. When I fix somebody's car, I keep them because they're a great tool to put on top of something and hammer it in. Okay, JB Weld. This is the JB Weld I use. Okay, this is it right here. Right, it's an epoxy putty steel stick. Okay, plastic honey. I'm gonna let you guys know what I use this for. You could use 80 grit sandpaper. That's what I use, 80 grit sandpaper. What else? A C-clamp. All right, a pry bar. This is a very old school pry bar. It was made in the US of A, which to me, that's the best tools, the old American tools. They just last a lifetime. This is a classic Black Hawk, US made Black Hawk pry bar. I literally go on eBay and I shop for vintage tools there, and I'm a big fan of the old classic Black Hawk tools. I happen to own a couple. And as you can see, it helps you hold the steering wheel as you could work on it. Okay? So, let me show you guys why I use the heat gun. When I inquired this steering wheel, right here where the horn, I keep saying horn, where the center cap goes, it was flat. When I mean flat, the plastic shrank and it got flat, literally flat. And if you guys could see, the center cap, well, is round. So it needs to fit there and have a backing that's round for everything just to flow with the shape. So what I like to do is, of course, wearing gloves, because this little thing here gets hot. By the way, it's a Harbor's Freight one. Okay, does the job, really cheap, does the job. I only use it once in a blue. So I like to heat it up by moving. You don't stay in one spot for a long time. Remember that the steering wheel is plastic. You just keep moving, walking back and forth to the area you are working on. All right, you let the gun down, and with your other hand, wearing a glove, I have some thick leather gloves there. Once you start seeing that the plastic is pliable, you move the plastic where you need to move it. Now, remember that once the plastic starts cooling down, it will try to shrink again. So that's when the bearing becomes your best friend. So I actually started this last night. I could not fit this bearing in here, and now look, she is in. She is in. I put it in there. I let it cool down for at least 15 to 20 minutes, okay? And I walked her in. I put pressure and I walked her in. All right, I have my dead blow hammer and I just started hitting it around driving her in, and as she kept sitting in, I left her alone, let her cool down, hit her a little bit, tapped her with the dead blow hammer. She came out, and look at that beautiful curve she have, just like a circle. So my next problem is on this side. She's a little out. I need to walk her back into the center more so she could match the shape of this right here, like she's matching the one on top. So the heat gun is your friend when it comes to restoring these old steering wheels, okay? Then what I'm going to be doing, why I have a seat clamp, is because this seat clamp and the pry bar, when you heat it up, you put the tension on it right here, and when it cools down, you let go. You put the tension as much as you need to move it, okay? Don't put it all the way too much, because then now you have to heat it again to push it out. But you just slow and steady wins the race. Remember that, slow and steady wins the race. So that's how I do it. Okay, I'm going to heat that up, and I'll walk her in with the C-clamp until I get the shape that I need to have to match this circle of the center horn cover here. All right. So here for the bird bit, if you guys don't have this kind of air tool, you guys could put this on a drill and it works the same. Matter of fact, I did that one most of the time with my drill, my battery drill, and I didn't use this air tool. But what this helps you is that you see this crack, you actually have to make this crack a little bigger and scratch it up to give it a bite. Just like when you're gonna sand something, to give it a bite when you paint, for the paint to have something to bite down to and stick to. So you walk the burr bit in these grooves. Okay, slow and steady. Take your time. There's no rush. It's not a race. And you clean it out. And when you start seeing that the plastic has some scratches and you made a tooth there for the JB weld to stick to, that's where you will be sticking your JB weld. But way before you're even going to be dealing with JB weld, way before you're going to be using your burr bits, okay, I like to get my 80 grit sandpaper. This is the one I happen to use. All right. And you'll sand the whole steering wheel, the whole thing. I mean, inside, because you're going to be painting the inside, all the way till you get the outside. Every nook and cranny must be sanded. Then when you finish sanding everything, you could blow some air. If you don't have a air gun to blow it, air hose to blow it, you could just simply use a dry paintbrush. Okay, take all the excess debris of sanding off and wipe it down with rubbing alcohol. All right. I go to the Dollar Tree a lot. When I'm in the Dollar Tree, I buy a couple of these right here. All right, to wipe down things that I have sanded, and they'll make it nice and clean. All right. And then after you sand, wipe down, that's when you get this little guy here, and you start making your cuts with this in to give it that bite. All in here where you see it cracked. All right, then comes this JB weld. This JB weld is a 2-part epoxy, and you have to just cut it, take what you're gonna use, mix it in, make sure it's mixed in good. She dries quick, so you have to move quick. Think about, I'm going to fill in this crack here, so you only work with the amount you think is gonna take to fill up here. Okay, It's okay to use a little more, and as you push it in, you just wipe it, get rid of the excess, than to have too little bit, and then you have to keep on mixing to fill in, because then the one that you just put in is already hard. So work that in, use your judgment on it, and keep on. Now, at the final step, when I mean the final step, and I'm going to show this in a previous video. This first video just showing you the steps that I take, okay? That's plastic honey is for the little imperfection, the really minor imperfection you have, okay? This plastic honey is because I like to use the short hair strand fiberglass, which is usually green. It's a more tough filler than your typical body filler, okay? And when you use this plastic honey regular body filler or the short hair strand body filler, and you mix it in with this plastic honey, it becomes so pliable. I mean, something that is thick and hard to mix in, it makes it just flow. Okay, it makes it like a creamy paste. And I will get my bundle spreader, right? Filler spreader, smaller than this. And if you guys don't have a smaller one, but you have a real big one like this, you could cut them. And I would just spread it where it's a little imperfections. I'll spread it nice and light, okay? And by the cracks, after I already finished putting as much as I can of this, but the filler you're going to use with your plastic honey is going to just do the little imperfections to make it look as perfect as you can. And when you finish spreading it in, it's nice and smooth. This actually makes your sanding a little bit easier too. When it's nice and dry, I'm not in a rush, so I let it dry up to an hour. I don't care. I walk away, I come back. You take your 80 grit sandpaper again, and you can sand it. And after 80, you could use probably 180, okay, to like 220. If you're going to use a thick high build primer, I'll stop at 220. And then when everything is nice and smooth, I'll shoot it with primer. And like I said, that is my first. These are the steps I take, so this is the first video, but I will be sharing with you guys the second video, which will be showing more of how this is applied, okay? But those are the steps. So if you guys need to go out there and get a plastic honey, the small one, this one is perfect. It'll last you so long, okay? Get your JB weld ready, because this is what I use. Get your tools ready, and you'll be able to restore your classic steering wheel right at home. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.